Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The More You Give. I'm your host, Jackie Barnum. As a disclaimer, everything that I and my guests say are our opinions alone and do not represent the opinions of the Department of Defense. Today's episode is brought to you by VetTix. VetTix is an organization that provides service members and first responders with sporting entertainment tickets. Go check them out at vettix.org. That's VETTIX.org. Okay, so I'm so happy today. If you know me at all or follow me on Instagram, on social media, you know that I come with a right-handed lady, always by my side, has influenced me in many, many ways. So today we have Kellie Sbrocchi, my college roommate, best friend. I was her maid of honor recently, just so many things. So Kellie, thank you so much. You are the OG, so I'm just so excited to have you on today.
I'm like very aware that I am the OG, yet somehow my palms are sweating. Like I'm nervous because I'm so proud of you and honored to be here. Yay.
The tables have turned. Now I'm asking
stressed.
you. I am interviewing you today. Well, this is going to be more of a conversation. And you are, we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today. And you just, as usual, firing off amazing ideas. And I was like, this is why she is the OG, because she literally in like 2 seconds, I'm like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you on my podcast. And you hit me with the ideas. So I'm really excited to talk today.
Absolutely. Well, I think I love your podcast because like you are fundamentally changing the way that we look at mentorship, giving back. Like it doesn't have to be this like intimidating thought. Like I feel like you're really like personifying that. But then even for me as the OG and the roommate, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm not a philanthropist. Like I'm not retired and I don't have 20 years of service. Like how could I possibly be on your show? Like I don't even fit into this mold." And so when you asked me to interview, I was like, "Okay, but like what are like the basic ways that we can give that like any person who walks in the door can be like, I want to like help other people today. I want to give blank today." So that's kind of where it started from. Like I was thinking of me as the audience. Like, what can I do? I want to do more.
Yeah, I think at least when you think of giving, it's so like you easily associate that has to be, monetary or like physically giving or something huge and this like,
Right.
substantial impact. But honestly, like I know you see it too. Like we see just through our acts of kindness, our willingness to listen to others, and all the things we're going to talk about, like those little things add up to big things. So I know the first thing that we were talking about was time and giving people just time, which seems easy, but it's not, because we only have so many hours in the day.
Right. I think the reason why I find that so valuable is like number one, it's the only thing we can. It's the biggest form of currency that we have that we can never get back. Like that's it. Like you can always make more money, you can always do more things, you can always plan more projects, but like you can never get time back. So the way that you assess and you spend your time, it really shows like what you're focusing on and what's important to you. And if someone's spending their time on you, like that's huge. That means like they're investing in your success. Like they really do believe in you. And so like right off the bat when we thought like when you were like the more you give, giving, I'm like, dang, like every time someone gives their time to me, I'm like blown away. It's a beautiful thing. So that's why I think that's like first and foremost like the best thing you can do. And I feel like we could both think of like 20 ways people have given their time to us and then also ways we've given our time to others.
What do you think is like the number one way to start? Because it's such a bit, like, sounds so easy and simple, but I find it difficult because we're constantly finding just our days, I blink and the day is over. So what are some things that you do to deliberately, give people your time?
Yeah, I would say two things that you probably don't even realize you're doing. Number one, by making yourself better or investing in your passions, you are giving back. And the reason why I say that is one, from like a personal development standpoint, when you take time to do a hot yoga class or journal or read a book, like you are opening your aperture to make yourself better. And in turn, you're going to be more mentally prepared to help other people. So, for you and I, for example, something as simple as like we sit down in the evening like little nerds and we craft our little posts and then we send it out to the world. And we're typically doing this in like our Lululemon pants with like a nightlight on, like right before we get into bed. All of a sudden, thousands of people have seen this post, and we do not know how that's impacted them. And so, by taking that time to do something that we love, like we're so passionate about that kind of reach, that's now impacting other people. Like you took time to do that, and that's in turn helping other people. And I say that because when people reach out to me via social media, now I'm giving time back to them by actually like responding to them, mentoring them, helping them. And just today, I had a reenlistment, and the sweet sailor I'd never met before. I met her a month ago, and she was like, I follow you on social media and I had to have you as my reenlistment officer. And she's like, I diligently read your posts. Like, I'm getting out of active duty to do reserves, but it's because I still want to do both. Like, your platform is all about doing both. And so she's like, I thought about getting out completely, but I want to do both. And I decided, like, you have to be the person that is my reenlisting officer. And I was just thinking, like, oh my God, like, what if I like hadn't taken time to respond to her DMs or like encourage
Exactly.
her?
Yes.
Boom.
I think
Like,
about that so much too.
yeah.
That is amazing. And that reminds me of like when I was reached out to by, because we get like DMs and they're hard to go through sometimes, but like I know you go through them meticulously as I do, and you do take the time to respond. And I remember I got a message from a professor at a college and saying, hey, like I really like your leadership style, like I think you'd be relatable to my students. And that led to me giving a lecture to his class, and just through that the students have reached out to me. I have been in contact with a new mentor of mine, and that has led to so many more opportunities for me and for others. And it's so cool how literally, like you're right, Kelly, like that one just response, and giving that time to say a response, even though we're tired and we don't want to sometimes, but that has so many effects that we don't even know.
It's like a butterfly effect. It's like one little message can plant a seed. Just taking that time. And I think people are like, oh, like, how do I start? Sometimes it's going against your initial feeling. Like, you might initially be like, I'm too tired. I don't want to talk to people. Like, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm an extreme extrovert. Like, and even I at times, like, I don't have the energy. But sometimes when I feel that and I get the sense that people want someone to confide in or they want someone to mentor them, I'm like, okay, give them time. Like, they clearly want someone to vent to or talk to or mentor or whatever. And that just meant the world to them, like giving them that. So sometimes finding those natural instincts, like just doing that once or twice in a month time, like it takes time to craft your mind that way. But sometimes you have to train your brain to do the opposite of what you're feeling. And sometimes we're too tired, but eventually you'll be like, I'm exhausted, but this is the right thing to do right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like you and I both kind of like navigate life that way, and it helps a lot.
Yeah, I think for navigating, I think the best thing is just writing things down and planning. Like I know you and I both, I think, do a hybrid of writing things down. For me, it's good for my brain to free up space to be like, okay, I'm giving this time to this person and calling them at this time. And, it takes time to do that. And a lot of people just don't want to even like do the planning for that. And again, more time being spent. And I think definitely writing things down, planning your weeks out and months out. Like I feel like every single day I'm like, I just got to get through the day. I just got to get through the day. And now here it is almost June. And I'm like, I have literally been saying I need to get through the day for 6 months almost. But that's because every minute more so is planned, where we literally are planning our time where we're doing nothing as well. Like you said, like
Mm-hmm.
you need to also schedule those times to do yoga, to watch TV, you know, because you have to
Mm-hmm.
try to maintain that balance. So yeah, giving others your time and also yourself is very important. And for you,
Mm-hmm.
like your significant other, like that person who you live with and the person that is supporting you and all these things, like that's another aspect that, I mean, I don't live with anybody, but you do. And that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of a new
Yeah.
thing that you're navigating. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
time for sure is, I agree, number
Yeah.
one way to give.
Yeah, yeah, it's a super powerful thing, and people take note of that, and I think people are still surprised. Like, it's such a great way to also, it's like a form of mentorship, because you are actually, like, people are shocked whenever I'm like, yes, like I'm happy to hop on a call, or I actually respond to them, or whatever it is, or like took time to do a reenlistment today. They're like, really? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, I know you're so busy. And I'm like, I am busy, but like, these are things that matter to me, and I know they matter to you. And so it doesn't always have to be like, oh, I'm going to give a full seminar. Oh, I'm going to do a full podcast. Oh, I'm going to do this grand thing. I'm going to hang out with him and grab a cup of coffee. Like, something as easy as a phone call, like, goes such a long way to help people. So just think of that. Like, open your heart to others, and be willing to give them time. I think that's like the number one way you can impact people's lives.
Yes. So
Yes.
next one, we would say encouragement is the next one.
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
Okay, well, I have to speak on my queen, my encouragement queen, aka Jackie Barnum. Um, we spoke about this on my podcast, I feel like a billion times, but
Which is
I
what? Which is what? What's the name of your podcast?
oh, a misunderstood podcast. What's up? Um, yeah, like we've talked so many times about like biggest misunderstandings, and I think encouragement, like just one person, like you do need to be your biggest supporter. But even when I wanted to launch a podcast, I'm pretty sure I might have told you before I told Austin. Like, I think I anytime I've had an idea, I go, okay, this is crazy, but, and before I even say it, you're like, okay, I'm ready. Like, what do you got for me? Yes, let's go. And then I say my crazy idea, and then that's always followed by, I love it. Yes, like you should already be doing this. And I'm like, yeah, great, And I could literally tell you I want to go to the moon, and you'd be like, where's your passport? Like, I 100% support this
Do you need a
idea.
passport to go to space? That's actually a good question.
I feel like of all places, you should have a passport to go to space. It's like, the craziest place you could go. But like that has impacted me in ways like you will never completely understand. Like, anytime I've ever wanted to do something grand, I've had you cheering for me. And that's so validating. Like, someone that you love and respect, that's not necessarily your parents. Cause I feel like my mom would be like, of course you could be President, Kellie. Like, just like having someone outside of that cheering for you is amazing. So really, like, look to find those people, like, who are the people that are not judging you, who are challenging you in the right way, who are pushing you, who want you to do more, like that. Hold on to those people. That's really gonna push you farther than you'll ever know.
Yeah, and I think it's also important too, kind of along with that, is having people in your life that pull things out of you or push you in a direction or like see potential in you and ask you like, hey, have you ever considered whatever? Like for me, this, I mean, I told this story I think a few weeks ago, but about, I sat some Marines down and I said, hey, like you're my top performing Marines, have you considered applying to be an officer? And one of them, to this day, I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, you saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I think that's just so powerful because sometimes, when we're living life, we're just like focused on what we're doing and there's not much time to be thinking about goals or the 10-year plan, that 15-year
Mm-hmm.
plan. And sometimes having somebody to be doing that for you and be like, hey, have you thought about X, Y, and Z? And they're just like, eyes are open to be like, I didn't think about that. Like, okay, let's have a conversation about that. Like, let me guide you through that because sometimes these like huge career changes or, you know, big goals are very overwhelming, but having someone there who's either been through it or has, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
organization or patience to walk you through it and make that goal manageable, I think is a huge way that you can provide support to somebody.
Yeah, 110%. Like, both like as a leader, like, opening those opportunities. I feel like almost anytime I talk to someone, almost to a fault, like I immediately am like, how can I improve your life? Like, what can I introduce you to? Who can I connect you with? And I did that today over literal pancakes. Like, I was at a War June brunch and he was like, yeah, I'd like to go to medical school. And I was like, have you heard of HSCP and HPSP? I was like, let me help you. But and he had heard of those programs, but I just think it's amazing to plant those seeds, and like sometimes they bloom and sometimes they don't, but you never
Or they
know.
turn
You
into
never
other
know unless.
things. I feel like
Yeah,
too, it's
that's
like you
true.
gave me this idea for, and I built on that, you know? So that's why, like, I feel like we just share ideas with each other all the time. And sometimes those like take immediate effect, and, or sometimes they come back around and we're like, but never ever have you and I ever been like, that's dumb. You know, like that just would never be a response that we would ever have, because no matter how kind of out
Right.
of the, you know, realm of possibility maybe it may seem, like we know that it's something that we're capable of achieving, and like
Mm-hmm.
we just are like, yeah, I love it. Like I love that idea, you know? And I think also with that kind of also of equal importance is showing that enthusiasm. It's important. Like
Mm-hmm.
people don't think about that sometimes, where like when someone comes to you with something and they want to tell you something or they're excited about something, your reaction is like vital to their like
Mm-hmm.
success almost, because you're the, you know, they're coming to you for like that validation. So a
A
huge
hundred
part of
percent.
support is actually like showing enthusiasm, giving them that like energy and I believe in you, because sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
are not confident in that, you know, in themselves, and then having someone that's saying I believe in you and I support you and I'm here for you when you need it,
Yeah.
you know, that alone is huge.
Yeah. That's one of the things we were going to talk about was like giving energy, and I feel like giving that sort of like positive energy is so important. And let's also talk about like not just in person, but so much of our society and our lifestyle is online. And when you give support to people online, wow, that's huge. Like it literally takes 8 seconds to write something out real quick. And no one approaches social media thinking, like, I really hope my post bombs today. No one is like, I really don't feel confident about this. I really hate this outfit. I really hate this picture. Like everyone's showing up because they're excited about sharing something or posting something. Like no one is sharing things that they're not excited about. So like be excited for them. And sometimes I'll go through like, this phase 5 minutes a day where I'll see a bunch of content and I'm just randomly like, "Yes, kill it. Amazing. This is awesome. Love to see it." And it's not because I'm trying to be phony whatsoever. It's just like I recognize these people are putting their heart, soul, excitement and like passions out there online. Even if they're posting like a cute little fashion reel and it's getting 10 likes, like that meant something to
Yeah.
her. She wanted to put that fashion reel up. Like, get it, girl. Okay, show me that tunic. Yes, love it. Like, so just being that positive spirit and energy for people, whether it's about them pursuing a commission in the military, joining the Navy, doing something more with their career, or becoming, trying to become a mom, whatever it is, like just that positive energy, it goes so far.
And on that as well, I think it's important. I want to tie in Austin here again, because I always think of him when I was just thinking about like support and encouragement of like
Yeah.
caring about what the people you love care about. You know, like I
Yeah.
will never, never, never forget ever. Austin has set the new bar for like men and significant others in for my friends, because
Austin's my
yeah,
husband, by
sorry,
the
that's
way.
Austin. That's who Austin is. Kellie's husband, and
Jackie's brother-in-law.
yes, and
Mm.
when you guys started dating, he arranged a time to talk to me, and I was like so confused by that concept. Like that literally like didn't make any sense to me. And I remember when we talked, he just literally wanted to get to know me, and because why? Because he loves you and therefore loves me because you love me. So it's like the transitive property of like, okay, anything that you do and you love, like I 100% know that like he's right there with you, like supporting you. And that is like such a wonderful quality of his. But I always think about like, okay, when like maybe I don't necessarily care about something they have going on, but it's really important to them, and showing that support
Yeah.
and like taking an interest and like that goes really, really far in their success. It's kind of all kind of ties in together.
Yeah. And like I said, this is all you need to start a kind of training your brain to think differently. Like this isn't just something that overnight I'm like, wow, I'm such a positive person. Like this has taken years upon years of people showing up online or showing in person and like passing judgment on me. I mean, even when we were midshipmen, like you could tell people's reactions would be like judgment, and you're like, oh, and we would go back in our little room and we'd be like, that went differently than I thought, or like, did you see her reaction? You see his reaction to that? Like,
That
okay,
went differently
and
than
we'd
I
like,
thought.
we're like, yeah, that went differently than I thought. And then I started thinking about how, again, if you just take a moment, like when you're feeling that negativity, that judgment, or maybe you're not excited for what someone else is excited for, take a step back and reflect on maybe why. That could be a reflection on maybe something you wish you were working on but you are not making time for. Maybe you see them posting a cute tunic reel online and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that. And you're like, okay, maybe this is something to do with like your own confidence that you need to be working on. Maybe you wish you were doing X, Y, and Z. I had to do that too. Again, training my brain. I remember when I was a midshipman and I had a friend who was a Redskins cheerleader. And I was like, dang, she is living the life right now while I am studying double E, which is electrical engineering, by the way.
Trauma.
Like, I remember like having my like piece of paper with like ohms and all this other crap. Like, I know the only thing I remember from electrical engineering is ohms. That's literally it. And I think the equation for kinetic energy.
No, you don't.
Literally all.
You don't know. Like you don't remember that. Anyway, keep going. I'm fact checking you later.
Poli-sci. But anyways, I remember going on Facebook because that's like what it was then. And I would see her pictures of her like dancing at games. And I'm like, I wasn't like happy. Like I should be so happy for this beautiful friend of mine who is dancing on the NFL cheerleading team, but I couldn't be. And I eventually had to unfollow her and I reflected on it and I was like, it's just because like I'm not in a place yet where I'm happy with where I'm at. Like I can't wait to pursue other passions, but right now I have to be led to this path right here and focus on the Naval Academy. And so in that moment I was like, this has nothing to do with me not being happy for her and everything with me not being happy with where I'm at right now. Not that I didn't love the Naval Academy, not that I wasn't so happy to be there and be in school, but there's just clearly so many other things I wanted to pursue besides double E. And so just taking that moment to like reflect and kind of counter those actions, it will help you give better energy to other people. So I've had to like train my brain to figure out how I can be better and support other people with more positive energy.
Right. And I think the saying that I always think about with that kind of stuff, because it's so easy to, especially with social media, we're just it's just like comparing. You see someone, you're like, I don't have that, or I don't look like that, or why don't you know this? And we immediately judge without really knowing the work that's gone, that the time and the effort and the failures that person has experienced. All we see is just at face value what they post, and we just make like a kind of shallow judgment. It's easy to just be critical. And I think I like to remember the saying of no one's house is built the same, so maybe right now, like I'm building the foundation to this big goal that I have, but maybe your house is already built. Maybe it has 2 stories or 3 stories and you're, doing whatever. And I'm looking at your house and I'm like getting jealous of it, but I got to look at my own house. Like I'm building my own house and I have my own dreams. And it's just like, everyone's house is different. It's built different. It takes different amount of time. We have different things that we really care about it. And I think that kind of helps ground me of like, okay, that person's got their thing going on, then I have mine going on. And eventually, like, it'll be what I want it to be. But I have to put that time in. I can't just snap my fingers and expect to be exactly where that person is.
100,000,000%. I heard this quote. It's like the faster you get there, the faster it's over, or like the faster it's done. I think it's like the faster it's over. But I always think about that. Like I have, I was so disappointed in when Miss California. I was so disappointed I didn't go to Miss USA. Like I really wanted to hit one of these huge, huge, huge milestones and like shatter this glass ceiling. And then I look back and I was like, I was only 27 and I would have won Miss California, had I not been runner up, and then gone to Miss USA. And then like that would have been it. Like that, I don't know how I would have topped that. Like I would have gone to Miss USA and been the first person in the Navy to ever walk on stage. And so instead, I feel like instead of burrowing away and being upset, like I'm not where I'm supposed to be, I'm like, holy cow, I have the whole rest of my life to redefine what that, getting there, that peak is for me. Like what is going to be that new goal for me? I am still climbing. Like I have not reached it. And I think so many people are like, oh, well, she's doing this or he's doing that or he hit this rank or he achieved this. And it's like, so many people don't achieve their biggest milestone until their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. Yeah. You have no idea when that's going to be, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And sometimes, when we think we've reached a goal, it's like, okay, well, that's not the end, the finish line. That may be just, and should just be the stepping stone to the next thing. Like, what did we learn from this? And now, okay, what's next? Like, what's next? I think that you and I, like, as our personality traits are, we're kind of, go-getters, take the initiative, and we're constantly like building, and we have that mindset all the time. We're not like, okay, like, did that, I'm just gonna do nothing else the rest of my life, like it's like, okay, now I'm ready for the next thing. Yeah,
now what?
I don't know what that is, but then we tell each other, and we are, who knows what's in 10 years. I'll be very interested to like just re-listen to all these and see where we're at, because so much can happen in 10 years. It's like so cool to think about.
Yeah, I know. I truly don't know what it's exciting, because I was just talking to Austin about this yesterday, which blows me away. But I was like, these are kind of like my 3 big goals. Like these are what I can see myself doing, and these are opportunities where I never want to close the door. And I was talking to him about influencing, for example. I'm like, I don't think I'll ever be a full-time influencer. A lot of people do it, and that's fantastic. But I'm never going to close the door on it, because it has created so many opportunities for me in the future. So it's something I still see myself worth giving time to. And I think like it's good to assess, like, you don't have to have everything on your plate. Make sure the things that are on your plate are things that you want on your plate. Like make sure they're fruitful things. Make sure they're leading toward the bigger goals, because I've done and dabbled in all of these little things. But when I like sit down and think about time, I'm like, okay, I have this, this, and this. And if I keep pursuing these things, those could most likely lead to even bigger things. So again, back to giving time to things that are going to be more fruitful. That's super, super powerful. And you're giving energy to it, and you're doing, all the things we're already talking about. It all comes back to the sum of all parts, which is giving back and focusing on you before you can focusing on other people.
Well, I can say, just to kind of sum up these things, I just want everyone to know, and you to know, the things that you have given me. Because it's so silly how when we talked earlier, like, I don't give anything, I don't, and it's like, we literally like say that about ourselves, and that just speaks to who you are. Like, you're such a humble person, it's like, I'm always like, I have no skills. My mom is always like slaps me over the head every time I say that. But for me, like, I know 100%, like, you have given me confidence 100% to be me, to speak my mind, to stand up for things, I would say mostly to be myself and push myself out of my comfort zone. Like, me, like, I hate, or used to hate, just like speaking really to like more than one person, now here I am like doing this. Like, what the heck?
What the heck? Podcast.
Yeah. And yeah, and just with the confidence piece, like you've given me, that there's courage in that. And I think you have definitely given that to me. And I am so, so appreciative. And I know that you are inspiring so many people. You inspire me every day. So I'm just so thankful to have you in my life. And you are another one of the like epitome of the more you give, and you're just giving more and more every day. And I just am so appreciative. So, Kellie,
I'm very honored.
Where can people find you? I want everyone to follow you and listen to your podcast. So where can we follow you?
Yes. Yes. I am on Instagram. You find me, Kellie Hall Sbrocchi. And I am on iTunes, Apple iTunes, and Spotify on Misunderstood Podcast. On Instagram at misunderstood.podcast. That's misunderstood with MISS, 2 S's. You can pretty much find me anywhere online, or you just go on Jackie's Instagram. Yeah. My face is on there too. You could definitely find me within 5 seconds. If you can't, then she needs to post about me, because clearly I'm not. I'm kidding. No. But seriously, Jack, thank you so much. You're the best. I'm so proud of you. Keep killing it.
Thank you so much, Kellie, for being on the show today. I also want to thank VetTix, VETTIX.org. Thank you for providing today's episode. For all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. For all my episodes and content, go follow me on theParadeDeck.com. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much.